Close your eyes. Imagine that for a brief moment, time stopped. Nothing moves, nothing demands, nothing responds. There's only silence, deep, alive, almost sacred. Within that silence, there's a space you might have forgotten to visit, a space between what you want and what you feel, an invisible gap where your true vibration lives. Maybe you're tired, not physically, but deep inside, tired of asking, waiting, and seeing nothing change. Tired of feeling like the universe listens to everyone except you. Tired of repeating positive affirmations with faith, but still carrying a tight knot in your chest. Have you ever felt that? That quiet doubt buried deep in your soul. Am I doing something wrong, or worse? Maybe I'm not worthy of receiving what I want. That doubt doesn't show on your face. It doesn't scream. It just whispers, slowly, day after day, like a cold wind moving inside you. And that's where the deepest pain lies, the pain of wanting deeply but trusting very little. Not because you lack faith, but because frustration has piled up, because you've tried everything and still you're waiting. But what if the problem isn't the universe? And maybe it's not you either. What if it's just the way your body, mind, and energy are trying and failing to align? Bruce Lipton, one of the leading voices in epigenetics, teaches that our bodies don't respond to what we think, but to what we feel as truth. When you desire something in your mind but carry doubt in your heart, your electromagnetic field gets confused. The message you send to the quantum field becomes incoherent. It's like tuning into a radio station while the dial is slightly off. You might hear something, but it's full of static. And the universe, which is sensitive, responds with silence, not out of cruelty, but because it responds to vibrational clarity. It responds to felt certainty. Neville Goddard once said, "You don't receive what you want. You receive what you believe is already yours." And he added something essential. The most powerful moment to plant that belief is right before you fall asleep. Yes, sleep. Because sleep is not just rest. It's a crossing. It's a portal where the conscious mind steps aside and the subconscious, which runs your reality, fully opens. Whatever you feel in the minutes before sleep goes straight into that field. No resistance, no filters. And if, in that moment, you can feel your desire as already real, your body records it, your vibration shifts, and the universe finally understands. Imagine planting a seed in the night, in the dark, with no one watching, no spotlight, no pressure, because it's in the dark that roots grow strongest. In the next few minutes, you'll learn a technique. Simple, deep, real, 3 nights, 3 repetitions, 3 acts of surrender. And maybe something will begin to change, not on the outside, but within, because it's from within that everything begins to bloom. Before we continue, I invite you to make a small gesture. Write in the comments with soul, with intention. I am ready to let go. It doesn't matter if you don't know how yet. It doesn't matter if part of you still doubts. Write it anyway. That phrase is a code. It creates space. It shows the universe that you're willing to trust, even just a little. And if this video touches something deep in you, share it. Not as someone promoting a technique, but as someone handing a lit candle to another heart still waiting in the dark. Now, take a deep breath and come discover what really happens when you do, truthfully, the 3-night technique. There's a kind of pain few people know how to name, but many feel. It's the pain of doing everything right and still seeing nothing happen. You ask with faith. You visualize with hope. You meditate with intention. But the days go by and everything feels the same. That feeling starts to grow slowly. As if something inside you were asking, "I'm trying so hard, why isn't anything changing?" It's a quiet pain. It doesn't explode, but it weighs. A weight that isn't physical, it's vibrational, like walking against the wind, carrying a suitcase that isn't yours. Bruce Lipton explains, this weight has a name. It's called incoherence. When you think one thing, but feel another. When you say, "I deserve this," out loud, but your body trembles inside with insecurity. When you imagine the best, but vibrate in fear, there's a conflict. And this conflict isn't just mental, it's biological, it's energetic. The body goes into defense mode. The limbic system, which processes emotions, activates the stress response. Hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals. You start producing stress hormones like cortisol, keeping your body in survival. And in survival mode, there's no room for creation. The mind wants to create, but the body just wants to survive. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece with trembling hands. Most people intensify the desire, but forget to cultivate conviction. They want with force, but feel with fragility. And that fragility sends static into the field. The universe hears that static as a no, not because it doesn't want to give, but because it responds to what you vibrate, not what you say. Imagine a radio. You're trying to tune in to the frequency of joy, of abundance, of love. But inside, your dial is slightly tilted toward fear, waiting, not yet. And that not yet is where your energy gets stuck. That's why before using the 3-night technique, it's essential to pause and ask yourself with honesty, what part of me still doesn't believe this is possible? It's not about fixing, it's about listening. Where do you feel tension in your body when you think about your desire? What do you feel when you imagine already having what you want? If you feel relief, great. But if you feel tightness, anxiety, doubt, that's where the key is. That doubting part doesn't need to be silenced. It needs to be loved. You can place a hand over your heart and say, silently, I see you, I hear you. And even with fear, I choose to move forward. And because the true power of manifestation doesn't lie in suppressing negative emotions, it lies in loving them until they dissolve. That's how coherence is created, not by forcing fake positivity, but by creating a space of truth where emotion can breathe. Bruce Lipton calls this vibrational alignment. When thought, emotion, and biology resonate together, the field opens, life responds. And that's exactly where the 3-night technique begins to work. In the next part, you'll understand why sleep, often overlooked, is the most powerful moment to reprogram your energy and activate the reality you desire. There's a moment every night when you cross a portal. Your body slows down, your eyes close, your mind begins to quiet, and something within you dissolves into the dark. That moment holds a power few ever notice, but it is sacred. It's the space between wakefulness and sleep, between the physical world and the inner one, between what you control and what you surrender. And it's right at this threshold that the 3-night technique takes place. Neville Goddard, one of the greatest teachers of creative imagination, said, "A sleeping mind is the most fertile ground for vibrational planting. As you fall asleep, your conscious mind steps back, and your subconscious, which governs your reality, opens like a silent garden. It doesn't question, it doesn't filter, it simply absorbs. Whatever you feel in those last few minutes before sleep becomes an energetic imprint, and that imprint radiates through your field. It reaches the unseen. It communicates with the quantum web of creation." Joe Dispenza confirms this through science. During sleep, especially in the theta and delta brainwave states, the brain becomes highly receptive. It's the same state used in deep meditation. It's when the nervous system becomes plastic, open to rewiring. And that's why 3 nights can shift everything. Those 5 minutes before sleep aren't just about rest. They are an energetic crossroads. This is the moment when you will use your imagination, not as thought, but as feeling. You'll choose a scene, simple, clear, repeatable. It doesn't have to be grand. It can be the feeling of a hug, the scent of a place, the peace of being whole, the joy of seeing a message arrive. And then you'll imagine this scene, as if it were a memory, as if it had already happened, as if your soul were just remembering something it once lived with fullness. But this isn't about repeating it mechanically. It's about feeling it. The body needs to believe. and the body only believes what it feels. So imagine it with all your senses. See the colors, hear the sounds, smell the air. Breathe in the moment as if it were the last image before you cross into sleep, the last page before closing the book of the day. You're writing this scene into your subconscious, and the subconscious follows through. If you repeat this for 3 nights, with surrender, with truth, with emotion, something changes, because the field begins to respond, not to your wish, but to your frequency. And frequency isn't thought, it's presence, it's emotion, it's coherence. 3 nights, 3 vibrational recordings. You're telling the universe, this is who I am, this is what I live, this is what I choose to feel. And the universe responds to vibrational choice with precision. Have you ever wondered why it's exactly 3 nights? Why not just 1? Why not 7? What's so special about this number? The answer goes beyond numerology. It lies in the brain, in biology, and also in sacred symbolism. The human brain loves patterns. It seeks repetition because repetition creates safety, and safety allows for transformation. Studies show that 3 emotionally intense repetitions of an experience are enough to begin forming a new neural circuit. It doesn't take months. What it takes is presence and intensity. 3 nights do exactly that. They carve a path, a small trail through the forest, and that trail, if honored, begins to bloom. In spiritual symbolism, the number 3 has always been sacred. The Trinity, body, mind, and spirit. Birth, life, and death. Beginning, middle, and end. 3 nights complete a cycle, a mini cycle of inner creation. On the first night you plant, on the second you water, on the third you release. And here's the hardest part for most people, letting go, because after visualizing, feeling, and repeating comes anxiety. Will it work? What if nothing happens? And that anxiety is like digging up the soil to check if the seed is sprouted. It delays, it interrupts. It tells the universe, I still don't believe. But there's a point when the real miracle happens, when you let go with peace. It's not giving up, it's trusting. It's like knocking on a door 3 times and then waiting. Not knocking again, not shouting, not watching the clock. Just resting in the quiet trust of someone who knows they were heard. And do you know why? Because the universe doesn't respond to insistence. It responds to the vibration of certainty. That kind of certainty isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It just vibrates, silently, steadily, deeply. The third night is the peak of the technique because it invites you to surrender, to release control, to step out of the way, like a woman trying to control the birth. And when she finally surrenders, the baby arrives. Creation only happens when there is space, and space only arises when the mind stops forcing and starts allowing. This is where many people get stuck. They try the technique for 10, 15 nights, but with each night comes more anxiety, more pressure, more watching. The field doesn't respond to time. It responds to your internal state. 3 nights, 3 acts of surrender. Then, silence. The universe moves in the invisible, but it moves when you stop interfering. And sometimes the answer won't come the way you imagined. It won't arrive with fireworks. It comes like a soft breeze, a chance encounter, a sudden intuition, a yes disguised as coincidence, but it comes. She was tired. Not in her body, in her soul. It felt like she had been carrying too much for too long. She wasn't even sure if she believed anymore, but still, she decided to try, not out of expectation, but from intuition. The 3-night technique came to her during a moment when everything felt stuck. She was alone, fresh out of a relationship, heartbroken, eyes lost in the future. On the first night, she laid down with effort. She did the visualization as best she could. She imagined a scene, herself walking peacefully on the beach, beside someone who made her smile with ease. She tried to feel it, tried to believe, but her heart was still wounded. On the second night, she did it again, this time with more emotion. She even felt a gentle warmth in her chest. But afterward, the doubt returned. Am I just fooling myself? She fell asleep like that, with hope, but also fear. On the third night, something shifted. She was exhausted, but it was a good exhaustion, the kind you feel when you finally stop forcing. She simply surrendered. She lay down, took a deep breath, and didn't visualize with effort. She just remembered the scene, like someone remembering a beautiful dream. She smiled to herself and drifted off. 2 days later, while walking aimlessly through a park, she bumped into someone, a familiar face, someone she hadn't seen in years. The conversation flowed as if time didn't exist. They laughed, they shared silences, and something sparked. It wasn't exactly what she imagined. It was better, it was real, it was light. And in that moment, she didn't think about the technique. She thought about the third night, about that feeling of letting go, of not forcing anymore, of simply being available, because that's what surrender does. It makes you available for the unlikely, for the mysterious, for what can't be planned, only received. This story isn't about romance, it's about energy, about what happens when the heart rests and trusts. The third night isn't a magic number, it's a symbol, the bridge between control and surrender. And the question that remains is, are you ready to stop asking and start receiving? 3 nights. It doesn't sound like much, does it? But transformation doesn't come from the number of days. It comes from the state of surrender. It comes from the meeting point between what you want and what you feel as truth. The 3-night technique isn't a spell. It's not a quick fix. It's an intimate act of coherence, a sacred ritual of reconnection between your mind, your body, and your soul. Bruce Lipton reminds us, the biology of belief is more powerful than any gene. And true belief isn't what you repeat out loud, it's what you feel. Neville Goddard echoes this. You don't receive what you want, you receive what you believe is already yours. This technique is an invitation to stop searching on the outside and start creating from within, to trade expectation for trust, effort for gentleness, urgency for presence. You don't need to wait another year, you don't need another course, another method, another breakthrough. You just need 3 nights, 3 moments of honest vibration, 3 deep breaths filled with truth. So now choose something small, but real. Don't start with the impossible. Start with the symbolic, a gesture, a reconnection, a feeling. And before you sleep, for 3 nights, feel it. Don't visualize it like a wish, visualize it like a memory, as if you've already lived it, as if you're just coming home. Then let go and watch, because a seed planted with love blooms in perfect timing, without noise, without rush, but with precision. And if this message touched something in you, now is the time to show up in a light, true, and vibrational way. Write in the comments, I trust the unseen, and I'm ready to let go. That phrase is a code, it's a frequency, it's your presence in the field. And if someone came to your mind during this video, someone who might also need to let go, share it. Not as someone who teaches, but as someone who walks beside, as someone who extends their hand into the dark, because when one heart lights up, it illuminates the path for many. The 3-night technique is simple, but it only works when it's done with truth. And maybe that truth is what the universe has been waiting for, from you. Now breathe, receive, and rest. The unseen has already begun to move.